Hi, my name's Ed Tinker, and I'm going to talk about police Luger magazines today. Let's start with the basics first. So, wooden bases were made prior to World War I. So the first Lugers, the 1900s, and then the test ones and everything else, they use wood bases like this up until, let me get a lighter one, up until 1926 when there was a regulation that came out, and it stated that as of 1926 they would use aluminum bases. Obviously they were going to use the wooden bases until they ran out. So this particular two that I've got here are police unit marked, which is rare. This one, which you can't see, and it has S.A1.11.77. Now, this is a fascinating one. It's probably more AI or AL, and then the ones look almost like a Roman numeral 1, except they're only on one side. And then the next one's an actual one like we expect to see, and then the 77. And I actually have a loading tool with the SAI on it. I always call it SA1, but I think it's probably incorrect. This one is fascinating. It's B.S.355, and we're not quite sure what the BS stands for. Not what you think. And I think I have a couple of those. Yes, this one's BS 171. Notice it's got aluminum base, so it's what? Post 1926. So this was probably around the same time period, Weimar era. Now let's look at the bases. This one has a 2 on it. We already know that BS 171 is past 1926. However, this, see on the base right here, it has an Eagle L. Eagle L is what? That's the Nazi era. So anything past 1934. I was trying to do these in some kind of an order, but it looks like I won't be able to. This is BS 148, and it has 9009 on it and a 2 on the top. 9009 is a serial number, and below, in scriptic letters, is an A. So an A is what? A is a suffix. Each Luger came in numbers of 10,000. There'd be 0. I'm sorry. They always start at 1. So then 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 9999. And some people they've had 10,000 where they're marked. Generally, they're just 9999. And I've never seen one of those. I've seen plenty of 9,000 series ones, serial numbers ones. And then after they went through that first 10,000, the next 10,000 was A or Alpha. I was in the military for 20 years. So you'd have 1A, 2A, 3A, etc. And then after 10,000, it would be B. So you'd have 1B, bug on my glasses, sorry. And all the way up to Z, but and you do see those. There are some letters, J's generally not used. I say generally because J could also be for infantry, because the J and the I, and so Jaeger, and it's just one of those things you have to learn with how the German language was back then. Okay, this is an aluminum one, and it actually has made in Germany, is why I bought it, because made in Germany meant it was coming to America. But that's not a military or a police one, so let's keep looking. Oh, that's a made in Germany. I have 2 of those. This is an Eagle L. So that's, you've got what's on top? A 17756 and an Eagle L. So if you try to ever match up a Luger with a serial number, it does happen. I've heard of it happening probably a dozen times over the years. I've been collecting for over 20 years, 25 years now. And you will find them that match yours, but it's very hard. And go on the Luger forum, go on Jan Still's forum, and we have a special section that's just on matching. So people try to match them up. The catch, of course, with me is that over the years I might buy or trade some of these. And so some of my numbers may not be right. I need to go through and do my complete numbers again. It's just a pain in the neck. All right, this one, you can very faintly see a Weimar eagle, but they've stamped over it with a number here, and the number is 1223. I always thought it was funny looking. It kind of looked like a double stamp, but it's not. And below it, you can see one of the Weimar ones, eagles. This one has a Starburst S on the base, on the bottom of the base. And a Starburst S, you can also find what's called, it looks like an ampersand X. I think I said that last time, that Dwight would remember its exact name. This one has a stamp on the bottom and a stamp on the spine. However, I don't like, you see how dark that pin is? Makes me think that this has been replaced at some time. So this isn't the best example to try to say, oh, that, and you do see them they'll have a mark on the base and they'll also have one on the spine. And they have Schmeiser Haniel. I've said it 4,000 different ways. I apologize about that. It's just one of those things. These are my favorite magazines. They are the Haniel Schmeiser patent. This one has an Eagle L on the side. Fairly rare, not incredibly rare, but more valuable. A lot of people like the Nazi era, and I collect the Weimar era. And this one has a 1, a 42, a 55, 18, and a 52. Now, let me tell you each of those little markings there. I'm looking for something to point at, so good old U.S. cleaning rod. So let me start at the top. What you see there is you see a 1 and a 42. Now, 42 is what? A 42 means that it is a replacement during the Nazi era, probably late 38, 40, something like that. There was a S42 and the 42. And so this one has a 42. It was given a new number. And then it has a unit number or a weapons number of 52 on the bottom. A very fascinating little magazine. Worth a decent amount to the right person. I would say it's got a ding on it right here, which takes away from it. You could even see that. I can see it. This should be $450 magazine. I would say it's probably $350 just because of the ding on it. Let's see. This one has a Starburst K. Remember the other one was S, if I could find it, which you're not going to be able to see anyway. I have to figure out how to put stills in. So one's a Starburst K. Now, Starburst isn't the correct terminology. It's something that I picked up years ago from my mentor, Bill, and I just use it. But it looks like a Starburst. There's other names for it. The K, I don't think it's Kraus, but the K was actually a person that it was assigned to. They literally looked it over, they tested it, and then they marked it. Now, the body on this one, it's got an aluminum base, so it's made, what, post-1926. But the body has that kind of a almost varnish look to it because it's a slight yellowish, but it's just probably dirty, stainless. That's not it's chrome. I didn't mean to say stainless. I actually had one that I cut up and we had it metrologically tested, and it was chromidium, however you pronounce that. Let's see what else I've got right here. These are probably more in line with that. I see I have some Simpsons also. These are all Simpsons. We talked about Simpsons last time. I'm missing one. That's because I sold it to a friend. I happened to mention the number out loud. And I sell and trade and everything else because I'm a collector. These are fascinating. This is a completely blank bottom one. And in World War II, I'm not sure the year, but probably the 38 or so, 39, they started being blued. And they were blued because putting the nickel onto a tinned magazine, it just took too much. And these right here, this is a police. It's got a number 2 on it. serial number 6674. I think that number's been redone. It's hard to say. And it's got that funny ampersand. These are the ones, I think I talked about them last time. Do you see how this button is flat? Well, I'm not quite sure why they did that. These were done in the late 20s, early 30s probably. And they thought it might be better. Well, they didn't always work with every Luger, and they caught because they were bigger than, say, fit like this. Because you can see here where one is completely flat and the other one has a normal pull down, a magazine catch. That's not the right term either. I'm trying to think of what it is. This one's completely blank, which would tell me that it's a commercial. It was for commercial Lugers, such as a Banner Luger. All of these, I have 6 of them with a flat. I've always loved them because I think they're so different. This one has number 2 and 2685, and it's got that little ampersand, and I will look it up so that I say the correct thing. This one is flat also. It's got a number 2. A number 2 means what? It means it's police. A Army one would have nothing, or it would have a plus sign. The plus sign means it's the secondary magazine. And in the police, a 1 means it's the one that goes in the gun originally, and a 2 means it's a secondary. Obviously, I see them with both. You'll see a 1 or 2 when I pick up a gun that happens to be matching. This one has a Starburst S, and it's got the ampersand on the back. I've never messed with this one. I mean, if I have a magazine that's just totally messed up, I might put a different base on it or something, and then I sell it that way. That it's usually I use a real base, an original base, but this one's I think it's probably original, but I don't like the darkness. You see the darkness compared to the light? It's darkness means it's a blued part. This one has a 3 on it, and somebody grabbed it or banged it right here. It's a shame. So this one has 8592, has the ampersand looking thing, and it's a flat because that's what I have in this box. And the 3, you see it every now and then, and people will say, well, they only went with artillery Lugers, they have a 2 pouch. Well, there are police, and I've seen only a few of them where they had a pouch, but it's in their inventories during the Weimar era where there'll be a Luger that's an LP08. An LP08 is an artillery Luger. The artillery Luger is actually more of a collector's term, and it's what we've always said. I don't know how far back it goes. The Germans, they called it LP08, and so that's Lang Pistola, so Lang pistol, Lang Pistola, and that just means long pistol. And the last one I've got with a flat bottom is an ampersand with a 1 and small number, smaller than normal, 9424. And that tells me that this was a replacement, was blank, and that could be commercial, but they would have bought a bunch of them from commercially and they would have stamped it themselves. Just because it looks more like a numbering that they didn't normally use because the numbers are smaller. Well, that's all the ones I've got here. I had sold a lot of my police magazines. When I did police Lugers, I had bought lots of them. And I first wrote Simpson Lugers, and I was buying everything Simpson. And then afterwards, when I started buying police Lugers, being a normal working guy, I sold a lot of the Simpson stuff and bought police Lugers, which I had collected originally, but I had sold some to get the Simpsons. It's never-ending thing. And so over the years, I've been gathering them up. Oh, this is the one that I replaced the bottom on this. It's an original bottom, but the original was numbered, so it was an Army one. It had a plus sign on it, I think. But it was cracked horribly, and I tried gluing it, and it didn't look very good. And so I had now this one it's blued, but I didn't replace that. I popped out the original one, put this one back in, and put it there. So It's probably not blued. It's just from age. They get that way. You always have to be careful when you look at them. I'll talk about lugers later, about the gay shirt. I guess I'm horrible at, even though I took German in high school, which has been a few years. But those things like that, over age, it's rust, patina, and it will age and look darker. So sometimes it's hard to tell. People will say, well, there's bluing that's down in the pitting of a gun. And you really have to look at it. Has it been reblued, or is it simply light strikes? I find with Simpsons that, especially on the toggle, that they will look like they've been reblued. But the rest of it looks pretty good, and especially the markings on the right, the acceptance and a final proof. Because everybody always wants to call those proofs, but they're acceptance markings, except for the far right one, which is the final proof, because it was proofed by shooting. And you'll see those little pits, and people will say, oh, it's been reblued. Well, sometimes, but sometimes it's just over age, and it's turned blackish. It's patina, it's rust, and oil, and you clean it, and those little bangs and stuff. Has it really been reblued? That's why you have to look at it in an overall sense. Well, I went over quite a few minutes on this, so I will, not that I'm timed, and nobody pays me, and so I have lots of time, but let's, these are just some overviews of some magazines that I happen to have, and maybe I'll try to get more organized and try to show you them from the different years, and pop in some from pictures, because I have from my police luger book. Dwight and I took hundreds of pictures. I took stuff from the internet from friends, and I got pictures and compared things, and the stuff in the book are we know who did them almost always, and if not, they're ones we took, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, everybody have a good day. Subscribe and like and do all that kind of stuff. And thank you very much. Take care.